Hello everyone and welcome back to assetocorsacompetizione. Today we are here at Zolder in the Honda. Just going to try to do a quick race, get back into ACC. I wasn't really feeling it for a little bit, but let's go back to the race. Now coming into turn 1, we do lose a little bit positions to the sidecars on the outside, but we can keep them as we make slight contact with the BMW in front of us. Hopefully that's not a penalty. It is really hard to play ACC on a controller once you get used to race room, but we can do our best here as we're just going to try to keep with the pack in front of us, maybe use a little bit of slipstream to help us on the straights here and there. And speaking of slipstream, we're going to need it as we head into the first straight of this track. Well, it's not a straight, it's more just a couple long turns here and there. We're just going to try to use the slipstream as the BMW in front of us, well not the BMW, the Bentley, nearly loses it, and we're just going to try to follow behind them. I think during this time I thought fourth gear was the best play through here, but it was probably third or second. But we're just going to have to do what we can, using as much momentum as possible and trying not to hit the cars in front of us. And I think we're going to do a good job of that, as we almost sent one up the inside of the Bentley, but I decided to play it safe so I wouldn't make any contact and destroy the car. Let me tell you, this is not the first time recording this race. But unfortunately, because we took an awkward line into that last corner, we did lose a little bit of time to the Bentley in front of us on the straights. As we get brake checked by the Bentley, in fact, it seems that the Porsche was sending one around the outside maybe and failed to do so. But we still are in a decent chunk of the pack. I want to try not to fall back and maybe get as close to the leaders as possible. I don't want to be in the last part of this race with basically nothing left on me. But I think we can do it. There's a slight bit of a gap here, and we did gain some time. Oh well, we actually didn't. That was just a warning for going off the track, but we'll see what we can do. We run a little bit wide into corner 1 here. It's just super hard to play this game with a controller after race room, as I said before, but we're going to do our best as we hit the inside curb a little, get back onto the brakes, turn in. The game is fighting us. I don't exactly have force feedback on the controller, so there's not much I can do about that. And it seems the Lamborghini behind us has decided to come and take a look to see if I would defend or not, and then back off. So I think the Lamborghini behind us is just going to play a few mind games on us just to see if we can make a mistake. As we finally do use third gear coming through this section of Zolder, and get back on the brakes, let the car roll into the corner, then get on the power as early as possible, and then back onto the brakes. I think I took the brakes a little bit early and took a little bit too tight of a line, but it seems to have worked as we're still in a decent chunk of pace here. And speaking of pace, I don't think I have the pace for the cars in front, as we nearly spin it even with traction control at 2, I believe. So we're just going to try to do our best. I chose the Honda because I felt like it would be more stable at Zolder than the Lamborghini or an Audi. Maybe I was wrong, but we're just going to try to do the best we can with what we have, and hopefully maybe get some slipstream from the group in front and not dirty air, but it depends on when we meet them again in this track. But on the bright side, we have made a slight gap to the Lamborghini behind us. Not sure the exact slipstream range behind us, but who knows. Now as we skip from 11 minutes to 9 minutes in the race, we see that gap is still around a decent chunk. We unfortunately did lose more time to the cars in front of us though, but we did set our fastest lap, so that is good. Now I decided to watch for a bit, and I noticed that through sectors 1 and 2 the Lamborghini is extremely fast. But it seems in the last sector, it seems to struggle a little bit here and there just to keep the pace up, as it nearly sends one up the inside as I ran wide. But thankfully first gear is just powerful enough to pull us back into it and keep the position. And it just shows you the AI in this game are pretty amazing. If you make even one mistake, they are already behind you to take your place. Or now we're just going to try to keep up as much speed as we can, just going to the edge of the track. I haven't played ACC in a while, so forgive me if the footage is hard to watch of a noob playing this game, but we're going to do our best, trying to just get the brakes perfectly, use the momentum to help the car stabilize, Now I probably could have shifted up to third gear there, but I decided not to. I decided to keep the car turned in and just gun it until I could run away from the Lamborghini behind me, which at the time was probably the best thing I could have done, since it does help me. I won't spoil the outcome, but it does help a little from what happens at the final, as we run extremely wide into one of the final turns, and the Lamborghini is in fact side by side, but it backs out of it knowing that this is a one wide turn coming up, which is very smart for the AI. I don't think it would have been a smart move either to run it side by side through the last corners, but it is getting ready to look up the inside of T1, which is an amazing move for the AI. So now all I can do is really watch my mirrors. I decided to not go defensive till way late into the corner, just to bait the Lamborghini into going off the racing line and having to run back on it as quickly as possible. Now I feel like there may have been a better car choice, but at the time I did not know. If I did know, I've probably taken a McLaren, not sure which one, probably the 720S, but this McLaren is not giving up, and I don't really see any cars behind it, so I'm hoping I'm not the bottleneck, as I nearly lose the car going onto one of the straights of Zolder. And I decided to just push as hard as I can instead of giving the position up. I know I won't be winning this race or coming past the top 14, but if I can just hold my position here, I'd be proud of that, as the car nearly spins with a force feedback, but I can't really fight it since I'm on controller. Once you turn the stick, that's all you really get, and I tried to get on the gas a little bit too early and the tires still spun. So at this time you could see the pressure of the Lamborghini was really getting to me, just trying to find time anywhere and everywhere on the track so I could at least stretch a few milliseconds ahead of this Lamborghini to the end of the race. And of course I did have a decent amount of fuel in the car, so that does help with how fast I can accelerate and how light I will be. But there's only so much you can do with pressure from behind, knowing the Lamborghini at any time could just send one up the inside or the outside and overtake you. So we're just going to have to play it safe and play defensive. Now we're just going to fast forward here a little bit, just to show that the Lamborghini was really, like, seriously always on my tail. Any mistake I made, he was there to just be ready to take me down at any moment, anytime, anywhere. Maybe he lost like a few tenths on the straights, but coming into the braking zones, he got right back up to me pretty easily. And I think that's just due to driver error or me not knowing the track that well. But I did my best to hold him off, but of course I knew he was faster, as we made a mistake coming out of corner 9, I believe that was. Now he's on the inside. I can't really defend that. I didn't want to go to the inside line and break his nose, but it seems he didn't get to stick it, so we run out of that corner in second gear, just putting the power down as much as possible. And the gap to the cars in front was pretty huge at this time. I know I can't catch them. I just don't have the control of the car I want with only a pad. If I had like maybe a wheel or something, yeah. But of course I don't, so there's only so much I can do, as the Lamborghini is just charging at me in my slipstream. He's always there, no matter what corner it is, he's always right behind me just waiting. But on the straights it seems he does fall a little bit back. That may be because the Honda may just be slightly lighter or more powerful coming onto long straights, or just have less downforce maybe. And that could be why I'm spinning the tires even with traction control. But we'll see what we can do, as we're just going to try to hold our line and not get overtaken anytime soon, or at all hopefully. And as you can see, the tires are up to a decent temp. Something's going on with the rear tire, but we can worry about that later once we clear some time from this Lamborghini behind me, but it will be hard to do so. It seems I'm just going to really have to play the defensive game. With only 3 minutes left in this race, we can probably get away with just holding the Lamborghini behind me and just coming home in P14, as we nearly spin the car into the wall. And we can barely keep this car anymore. It is getting so hard with the pressure of this Lamborghini behind me to keep it still and going in a straight line. and as the Lamborghini nearly sent it up the inside as soon as it saw an opportunity to. So I really can't make any mistakes at all during this final 3 minutes, or this Lamborghini will fiercely attack me and probably get away with overtaking me super easily. So I'm just going to have to do my best throttle control manage, as we did run a little bit wide on the last turn. So going into turn 1, there may be a little bit of dirt on the tires, but hopefully that won't affect us too much. Now as we go into turn 1, just watch the mirrors about how much of an amazing exit this Lamborghini gets compared to me. I don't think it's tire wear, since tires in this game can easily last up to 40 to 50 laps of any circuit. But this Lamborghini decided to turn on DRS or boost or whatever, because it was on me at all times. Now even on the streets too, it was holding side by side with me. And that was pretty scary, as I didn't want to make any contact and hit it. As we hit the curb and we ran a little bit wide, we hit the wall and we're back on the track. We nearly spin the car as our hands are completely twisted, but the Lamborghini does take that opportunity. They just completely overtake us. Unfortunately, there was not much we could do about that, as it was my mistake, of course, not the car's fault. And I can't really save it that much, as a car behind us nearly dies in the rearview mirror. Now we are going to have a little bit of competition from the Porsche, as they do want my position too. And I don't think I can recatch the Lamborghini in front, as he's already, it seems, about 2 seconds ahead of me. I can maybe grab him in a braking zone in another lap, but I doubt it. With his pace, he could probably reach the leaders at this time. So the only real thing I can do again is play defensive, maybe save a little bit of fuel to make it to the end. There's not much I have in this game when it comes to pace with my pad, but I could still play a decent defense game. And I think that's going to allow me to come P15. I know it's not an amazing place to come in, but hopefully we could just hold it there as we get hard onto the brakes. Using a little bit of trail braking, just holding our line as best we can. Getting on the powers early, and it seems we did make a small gap to the Porsche behind us. Going to try to not hit the inside of the curb coming into turn 2. Now coming into turn 3, going to use first gear just to get the car rotated and for the acceleration. And it seems to have helped us a bit, but of course the Lambo in front is just gone miles ahead of us, but at least we don't have to worry about the pack behind us. And we can just make up a little bit of time here and there as we again get loose. I don't know what's going on in that part of the circuit, but it seems there may be something on the surface or dirt where I just completely lost it there. All the other laps I was pretty much fine, but it may just be the car's way too light to go in there with that kind of speed, and it just doesn't have the mechanical grip maybe. We're just going to try to hold our line, as it seems the cars behind us did gain a little bit of time on us, but it seems that this is the final lap for us, so we just got to bring it home without sending it or spinning it into a wall. As I say that, the car gets loose. So hopefully that's not a bad omen for the final turn here. But I think that is P15. I know it's not an amazing position, but it's the best I could do with this car, and I probably did damage it a bit. But thank you all for watching. I hope you enjoyed the video. I probably won't be uploading as much because of school and stuff, but thank you for watching the few videos I do upload.